welcome to probably what's going to be my last edition of my German-British blog. Might do another one before I leave, we'll see how we go. I have a week and a half left in Germany and I thought I would round it up by doing my 5 top tips for being an au pair in Germany. I'll probably also do a blog post to go into this because I have quite a lot to say about each of the points. So number 1 is get used to sex and nudity. I put them as 2 separate things because they are 2 separate things. In Germany, sex is much more obvious. It's the first week that I was here, I was with my host mum. We were driving down the Autobahn and there was a massive sign, huge sign with a rotating thing on the top saying erotica. I turned to my host and was like, does that mean the same in German as it does in English? And she was like, yup. That's where you can buy host-style erotica gifts. Welcome to Germany, Hannah. Sex shops, really common to see here. Nudity I have put as a separate thing because there is a lot more nudity in Germany, but it doesn't necessarily mean sex. If you go to a sauna, which I haven't been brave enough to do, they are naked. Generally, 90% of saunas in Germany are naked saunas, they're nude saunas. If you go to a swimming pool, I can't talk for the men, but definitely the women shower naked. And the first few times I went to the pool, it kind of was really like, I don't know, grossed me out a bit. But it totally makes sense. I have been brave enough to do it twice, not completely nuded, like I just rolled down my swimsuit when there was nobody around me. And like, I was actually clean afterwards, and you know, and then washed the rest of me, and then grabbed my towel and then left. And I didn't have to shower again when I got home, and it was perfect because when you got your swimming costume on, you're never really clean when you just wash through the swimming costume. You just wash it in the swimming costume. So yeah, that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 relates directly to being an au pair, is that, you know, I think there's a tendency as an au pair to put too much pressure on your host family to be perfect. So I guess this tip would be, accept that your host family isn't perfect, because neither are you. I think nobody in this world is perfect. We all accept that, we all acknowledge that nobody is perfect, yet I don't know why in our heads we kind of get so disappointed when the host family isn't. They are humans too. You know, they're going to have their flaws, but they're also going to have a lot of really great things about them. This is a cultural exchange. This is an exchange where you get to learn about new people and you get to learn about things, and there are going to be things that irritate you, but there are going to be things that irritate them about you too. That's going to happen, but the majority of the time you can work through that and you can actually sort of learn to love those differences, and the things that you hated at the beginning, you know, you are going to learn to love by the end. They're just going to seem so petty, and yeah, you know, there are going to be difficulties and there are going to be challenges, and you can overcome them, and just give your host family and give yourself this time to kind of like work through those differences, because it is so worth it, because you can still have the perfect experience without having perfect people. So tip number 3 is battling sort of homesickness. This kind of links into number 4, but I'll get into that more. Battling homesickness. So I think to battle homesickness, a big thing is to learn how to be alone. Find something that you, like a skill or a talent that you want to work on. Maybe learn a new musical instrument. Maybe teach yourself to draw. Maybe start writing. Maybe pick up a sport like going running, going swimming, picking up yoga. Do something that you kind of better yourself. Picking up a language and really throw yourself into that language, because there are going to be times as an au pair where you are going to be alone, and you have to kind of know how to be alone and learn that it's not always a sad thing, and it can actually be, you can have a great day. Some of my like best days here I've been alone, when I've just gone and let myself get lost in my new city, get myself lost in my new surroundings, and it's great. And a big thing also with homesickness is kind of finding something that you could only do in your new country. So for me, it was last summer. Unfortunately, I haven't kept it up, so whatever, but last summer I was really struggling with homesickness, and so the thing for me was, at least where I come from in England, the swimming pools are all inside, they're always small, they're always overcrowded, and although it's enjoyable, it's nothing compared to here. So I got really into swimming, and I swam maybe 2-3 times a week. I toned up, as I say. Unfortunately, I didn't keep it up, but it was what kept me going, and every time I got really frustrated, I would be 10 AM at my aqua aerobics class, where I'd be with around a load of really old senior citizens doing aqua aerobics, and it was a great way also to learn sort of more German, and it really helped my homesickness because I loved it. It was like what I lived for. When it was hard, I knew that I could work out my frustrations in the pool. I then didn't want to go home anymore because I couldn't do that at home. I could only do that here because we don't have an Olympic-sized pool in England. We don't have outdoor, in my town in England, we don't have like a range of sort of pools when you go to one swimming pool, and we can't go swimming, I don't think anywhere in England, for the equivalent of €3.50 for 2 hours. That's so cheap, and that was my massive thing. So find something in your new country that you can't do at home, and that really helps with homesickness. Tip number 4 is kind of like the opposite of tip number 3, and it is learn how to put yourself out there, because you are an au pair, which means that you don't have any colleagues. The people that you see all day, every day, are little children and your host parents. Children are great, they're fantastic, but you can't take them down to the pub and have a night out with them. Your host parents, you can't go really have a night out with them either, because when you're child free, they're looking after the kids. When they're child free, you're looking after the kids. It's very rare that you'll both be child free at the same time. And you're not just going to be given a social life, you have to go out there and you have to look for that. Whether that is by joining up to German classes, whether it's joining Facebook groups, trying to find au pairs in the area. And it's just kind of like letting yourself get out of your shell, because you are a fantastic person, and everyone, there's a massive immigrant community in all the countries, international communities. Go out there, find them, they're in the same boat as you. You will get to meet people that you would never normally be friends with at home, but you're so glad that you got to meet them, because you've just learned so much from them, and that's fantastic. Tip number 5 is learn how to speak, and what I mean that is getting over that internal block and just letting yourself speak. Your language probably isn't going to be perfect. You are probably going to find that there are things that you really struggle with in a language, things that you'll never get over. For me, it is words that are just like this long in German and trying to get my tongue around them, it just doesn't work. But just try, and the person that's going to be most harsh to you is going to be yourself, because the majority of the time people are going to expect you to just try and speak your native language. The majority of people that come here on holidays, will just come and they'll just speak English to the people here without even asking if they can speak English. They'll just expect that they can speak English. So people will respect so much that you're actually making the effort. They may still reply to you in English, but just have that confidence just to keep at it, keep going, and you'll get there. And I've got to the point in my German where I can pretty much understand everything. I can pretty much reply to everything. I can keep most conversations going. I am still making hundreds of mistakes. I can hear the mistakes. I know I'm pronouncing things wrong, but it doesn't matter. Like, if I think of the progress that I've made just by speaking, it is massive, and it's the same for anyone. Just have that confidence and just have fun, because learning another language is so fun. So yeah, those are my 5 top tips. I realised that I went off on a tangent and I probably went into a little bit too much detail. As I say, if you want me to write a more in detail blog post about it, just leave a comment below. And thank you so much for everybody who has made this year such a fantastic year. And but then, like, this isn't goodbye Germany, this is only bis später, und yeah. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.